Hello everyone, welcome to Stats with Supreetha. In the previous episode, we learned important statistical terms like population, sample, parameters, statistic, variable, and data. Today, we will be learning more about data, sources of data, and types of data. What is data? In simple words, data are facts, figures, or observation collected for analysis. Data can be numerical, categories, measurements, or descriptions. For example, suppose a teacher collects the marks of students in a class. These numbers are data. If researchers record the heights of people, these measurements are also data. So remember the important idea. Data is the raw material of statistics. Without data, statistics cannot exist. Now, the next question is, where does the data come from? In statistics, data mainly come from two sources, primary data and secondary data. Let us understand each one. Primary data is the data collected directly by the investigator for the first time. This means the researcher collects the data personally. For example, if you ask 50 students about their favorite subject, the information you collect is primary data. Now let us see the merits and demerits. Primary data has several advantages. It will be more accurate. It is collected for a specific purpose. It is generally more reliable. Now the demerits are, it can be time consuming, it may be expensive, it requires more effort and planning. Now let us look at secondary data. Secondary data is data that has already been collected by someone else. Instead of collecting new data, the researcher uses existing information. For example, data can be taken from government census report, data from research papers, or company records, etc. Now let us see the merits and demerits. Merits are, it saves time, it is less expensive, it is easily available. Now the demerits are, sometimes the data may be outdated, its accuracy depends on original sources, it may not perfectly match your research paper. Now comes the types of data. Data is mainly divided into two types, qualitative data or categorical data and quantitative data or numerical data. It is further divided into two types. Categorical data is again divided into two types, that's ordinal and nominal, and numerical data is divided into discrete and continuous. Let us see one by one. What is qualitative data? Qualitative data describes quality, labels, or categories instead of numerical measurements. For example, gender, male or female. Blood group, A, B, AB, O. These values represent categories, not numerical measurements. Therefore, they are qualitative data. Qualitative data is further divided into two types, nominal data and ordinal data. Nominal data represents the categories that do not have any natural order or ranking. In simple words, the categories are just name or label. For example, blood type, types of pet. In simple rule, if categories cannot be arranged in order, it is nominal data. Now, ordinal data is represent categories that have a natural order or ranking. However, the difference between the ranks is not measurable. For example, customer satisfaction, very satisfied, satisfied, neutral, dissatisfied. These categories have an order, but we cannot measure the exact difference between them. Let us consider one more example. Education level. Primary school, high school, undergraduate, postgraduate. These levels follow a clear order. Therefore, these types of data is called ordinal data. In simple words, if categories can be arranged in orders, it is ordinal data. Now comes quantitative data or numerical data. Quantitative data represent numerical value that can be measured or counted. For example, age of a person, height, weight, marks. Since these values are numbers, they are called quantitative data. Quantitative data is further divided into two types, discrete data and continuous data. Discrete data. Discrete data represent countable values, usually whole numbers. For example, number of students in a class, number of cars in a parking lot, number of children in a family. We cannot have one and a half children, right? So the values are discrete, or we can say it's a whole number. Continuous data. Continuous data represents values that can take any values within a range, including decimals. For example, height. Height of a person is 165.5 centimeter. Weight is 60.75 kgs. We can say one more example is temperature, 28.3 degrees Celsius. Because these values can take infinitely many values. They are continuous data. Just pause the video and see this flowchart. You can understand better. Let us quickly summarize what we learned in today's episode. Today we discussed what data is, sources of data, that is primary and secondary data, and their merits and demerits, and types of data, qualitative data, and it is divided into nominal and ordinal, and comes quantitative data, which also divided into two types, discrete and continuous data. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. This is Supreetha and you are watching Stats with Supreetha. See you in the next episode. Thank you.